Injustice. Injustices are very widespread. I want to ask each and every one of you a question, though, and I'd like to ask several members of the audience to stand. I'd like to ask you the question, when were you last the victim of an injustice? And now I'd like you to stand. I'd like you to stand if you've ever gotten your order wrong at Starbucks. Yeah, or the wrong name. I'd like you to stand if someone's ever stepped on your shoe when you were standing in line. I'd like you to stand if you've ever been labeled as rude or inconsiderate because you put laxatives in your friend's wedding cake. Yep. Thank you. You may take a seat. I remember when I was last the victim of an injustice. It was July 1st, 2019. I was in a small group of my only friends, and we were on our way to protest the vegan ice cream being removed at a local frozen yogurt shop. But at this time we were famished. You know, we needed some food, and so we decided to just go to Chipotle. And, you know, I should mention, you're going to think I live under a rock, but I had never been to Chipotle, the popular Texican-Mexican restaurant. So, as we're walking in, and I feel a pinto bean squish beneath my shoe, I really just took that moment. I was so content at that time. And I took that moment. I was on cloud 19. I said to myself, I just love the friend group that I have. It's just amazing to be able to have these people in my life. And the atmosphere of the restaurant was great too. Someone walked past me. They said, "Excuse me," and I was all, "Nope, none taken." But you know, as I got to the line and it was my turn to order, I just let the scooper lady know that, you know, this is who I am. I am vegan, so I'm going to order something vegan. You know, I usually go to Qdoba and I get a vegan nacho bowl, so I'm going to need to be getting something vegan. So I let her know that, and I just ordered my things as normal, and you know, I get to the end of the line. I pay about $8 for my vegan nacho bowl, since I'm vegan, and I walk to my table, and as I get there, I realize that I didn't get chips, and so, you know, it just passed my mind. So I walk back to the cashier, and I say, "Oh, can I get some chips?" Because there was a shelf of chips behind her. And so I said, "Could I get some chips?" And she grabs them, and she's smiling, and she grabs them. But as she grabs the bag of chips, she continues holding on to them. And as she does this, she starts to press buttons on the register. Finally, she says to me, "Okay, your total will be $3.64. And so despite my dramatic pause, she keeps waiting, watching, staring at me, seeing if it means enough to me to get with my meal the items that are complimentary at Qdoba.
You are so brave.
Thank you, I know. And so finally I grab out two $2 bills from my wallet, because that's just the kind of person I am. I'm one of those people that carries around $2 bills, and I hand them to her with shaky hands. I was baffled. I I was confused. And my rights as an American were suddenly blurry. Now, my story is not unique. I know that, as I mentioned before, injustices are not prejudiced. We all face injustices. I couldn't even rely on a business in my community to provide a complimentary good that they capitalize on in their own business name. You know, am I right? It's not called a potlay, it's called Chipotle. But it is how we respond to these injustices that counts. That is why, as a citizen of a democratic government, I feel morally obligated to not tolerate these injustices. Here's what we can do different. For starters, we can start by saying no. No, I want whipped cream on that drink. No, I deserve extra butter on my popcorn. No, I am not going to pay $3 for 1 tablespoon of guacamole. And no, I would like to speak to the manager. You know, one way we can start by saying no is through protests. I have seen in the past both peaceful and violent protests have proved successful in accomplishing minor and insignificant goals. As I mentioned before, my friends and I were going to protest the vegan ice cream being removed at our local frozen yogurt shop. And that night, we stormed the 86-year-old manager's home after dark. And we did achieve that goal. And the vegan ice cream in that frozen yogurt shop remains to this day. Now, that is just one example of the power of protests. So in conclusion, you may be wondering, is this worth caring about so much? We're talking about chips. I mean, there are things in the world like poverty, civic unrest, the list goes on. Is it worth it? And I would say yes. Yes, because once we have chips for our nacho bowls, once we have whipped cream for our pumpkin spice lattes, we will have the energy to focus on so-called larger problems. And as we fight for our rights, I believe that we can make a difference in the world. We can create an environment for our children and our grandchildren where they will thrive. And we can do this one chip at a time. Thank you. In line, and they were, all excuse me, but I told them I was none taken. I have to redo that part. It's okay, because I can cut it out in the video with my editing skills. I couldn't even rely on, I forgot one part, because there was a line, you are so brave. So brave. You are so brave. You are so brave.